Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be comparing the cheapest VR head strap and comparing it with the Bobo M1, which is around more than twice the cost of this one. And really seeing is it worth spending the extra money to get something that could potentially be better, or save a little money and get something on the cheap side. And we'll get to that right in a minute. I did get sent this head strap in particular for free to review. Paid for this one with my own money. And this video is not sponsored by anybody. If you guys would like to help me and support the channel, links to the Patreon will be down in the description. While done there, be sure to like and subscribe as it greatly helps promote this video across YouTube. Now let's get right into the video. First off, you're gonna notice that these are completely different style of head straps. This is a Peiloh style where it puts the pressure on your forehead, and this is an Elite style. Now let's talk about the Peiloh for a second here. It is basically the same aesthetics as the Bobo M2, which a lot of people like. I personally didn't like it because of the top two, I like to call them antler feelers. I'm not really sure what they're called. Luckily, this actually moves back and forth, so you don't have that same discomfort like I had. And if you had any discomfort, still, you can take off the front pads like so. Even though at this price point, it feels pretty solid, like it's not gonna break after so many uses. It does have a little bit of flex, but it's not enough to break your head strap. Overall, the quality and the comfortability is pretty decent for a head strap, especially at this price. The front pad is completely removable, which is nice to see, especially when almost every head strap I've tested has either been glued on or just not really that comfortable. Let's talk about the back here for a second. It is glued on, which as usual is a major downfall for me at least, but it is actually really comfortable. It's a little stiff, but it holds the headset well on your face. Now let's talk about the Bobo M1. This has been my daily driver for months now. I like the way it feels on the back of my head. It's really comfortable, made out of nice plastic, doesn't have much flexibility, which is good. The back strap is removable. This particular padding is like a silicone honeycomb. It's really weird, and it has a really weird texture. It's a pretty comfortable pad, and this is not going to move on you at all, which is one of the problems I've had with the Bobo M2, where the back padding would slide over my head and it just doesn't work for me. This actually feels really good and it does not slip. The plastic is high quality. You're not gonna worry about breaking. It has two bending points. Now compare that to the Peiloh. It does have the same pivot points on the side, but it just feels a little bit more stiff. Now let's talk about the knob, which I think is a highly underrated topic, and it's really important in my opinion, especially when creating content or live streaming, because the last thing you want your viewers to hear is you cranking on that head strap. This is pretty loud. I mean, for some people that might be fine, but like I said, if you're live streaming, this may not be what you want in terms of noise. Now let's take a look at the Peiloh and see if that's any better than the Bobo M1. Now this is the Peiloh head strap. Obviously, this is what it sounds like when untightening it. Pretty quiet so far. Then you start to turn it, and it still has, obviously all head straps are gonna have that sound, but some are worse than others, and I think this is better than the Bobo M1. Now, let's get into some of the things I don't like about both head straps. This is gonna be that part of the video where it helps you decide whether head strap you wanna get. Now, like I said, both are comfortable headsets. Due to the stiffness on the back padding and the front padding, the Bobo M1 is just a little bit more comfortable. I'm going to keep calling these feelers because that's what they are in my head. These feelers aren't super uncomfortable, but like the Bobo M2, I would prefer to play without them, so I just move these up more on top of the head strap itself, and it is fine. So one of my friends did do a video on the same head strap, and he had an issue where these sides were super loose, and for me, I didn't have that issue, but this is something that you should definitely consider. So just keep in mind that for some reason, each model seems to be different in terms of quality. My next point is going to be a deal breaker for a lot of you out there. When I first got this head strap, I don't know if you guys can see that, but like I said, it's glued on, but I can actually just take this whole thing off. And like I said, it is glued on, but I got this disassembled, meaning that this came separately from this, and it's more of an adhesive rather than a full-blown glue. So I had to actually stick it on myself, and that is a huge issue, as you can see. Now let's talk about the Bobo M1. Now obviously the issues are not going to be as severe as the Peiloh, but some more minor inconveniences you should consider when purchasing this headset. This is probably the biggest inconvenience and that is the fact that you cannot actually buy it like this. You have to buy the Bobo M2 or the M2 Pro and buy the conversion kit, which in turn comes out to around $40 to $50. The back padding, even though it is Velcro, it is a little too weak. Another thing that got really annoying really quickly is that this head strap actually does not come with the Bobo. I actually had to swipe this off from another head strap I was reviewing at the time because the Bobo M2 head strap was too big that you had to Velcro it onto the back here. And every time you go to lift it up like this, like I usually do, to put it on my head, the back padding would just come right off, and it just got super annoying very quickly. Now, another thing too, if you have long hair, the new design for the padding does have a tendency to pull some hair out. I've done it a couple of times and it does not feel that great. However, it hasn't happened a lot, so I wouldn't consider that to be a deal breaker, but just be careful when you're putting this thing on or taking it right off. Now, my conclusion is if you're on a budget and are planning to upgrade somewhere in the near future, then go with the Peiloh. And if you're willing to shed the extra money for in my opinion, the best head strap I've ever tested, I would highly recommend going with the Bobo M1. Alright, that's going to be the end of the video. If you guys did like the video, you know what to do. Subscribe if you haven't already. And as always, work to ride, check yourself. Peace.